Court of the Inquisition, Rome, winter of 1600. The scene takes place in a gloomy hall lit by a few torches. Giordano Bruno, in chains, stands before the judges in dark cloaks. The silence is heavy. Perhaps you tremble more in pronouncing this sentence against me than I do in hearing it. The phrase echoes through the silent hall. Giordano Bruno has just issued his final challenge to the judges. The death sentence has been decided, but the philosopher does not lower his gaze. His figure seems even greater, as his inquisitors remain speechless. Today, I want to talk to you about a friend of mine, Giordano Bruno, a visionary thinker who, in the 16th century, dared to challenge the inviolable truths of his time. Born in 1548 in Nola near Naples, he embraced religious life at a very young age, becoming a Dominican friar. But Counter-Reformation Italy, gripped by the Inquisition, is not a welcoming place for a restless mind like his. Bruno devours new texts and ideas and admires Copernicus, who places the sun at the center of the universe and questions age-old dogmas. His rebellious spirit quickly gets him into trouble. Accused of heresy before he even turned 20, he is forced to flee Naples to escape trial. Thus begins the long exile of a man determined to think for himself, no matter the cost. For over 15 years, Bruno wanders across Europe in search of intellectual freedom. In Geneva, he seeks refuge among the Calvinists, but ends up ostracized there as well. In France, he obtains a professorship in Toulouse, and then in Paris earns the esteem of King Henry III with his extraordinary memory and intelligence. Yet, more than his academic talents, it is his ideas that leave a lasting impression. Toward the end of the 1500s, he arrives in London, where he publishes philosophical works that are nothing short of bold and unconventional, in which he argues that the universe is infinite and made up of infinite worlds. He claims that the stars are other suns surrounded by planets, possibly inhabited. The Earth is just one among the many celestial bodies in the sky. This is a shocking idea for his contemporaries. It means that man is not at the center of everything, and that God should be understood as present in every part of the infinite creation, not confined to a single heaven. This vision shatters traditional certainties and undermines the authority of the Church, which sees the uniqueness of creation as being threatened. Indeed, reactions are not long in coming. The academics at Oxford ridicule him. The Calvinists of Geneva banish him. The German Lutherans excommunicate him. No denomination, Catholic or Reformed, tolerates that rebellious friar for long. But Bruno does not give up. Every city he stays in becomes a new stage for his ideas. To the true philosopher, every land is a homeland, he writes. In every corner of Europe, he seeks only the right to freely express his thoughts. He does not provoke it for the sake of scandal, but because he pursues a truth greater than dogma. In his philosophy, he conceives of the divine as an infinite vital principle that permeates every part of nature. Every flower, every star, every atom, every cell holds a spark of this, at the time heretical, a vision of God. The entire universe, according to him, is therefore like an immense living organism, animated by a universal intelligence. In fact, one could almost venture to say that he was a forerunner of certain concepts in quantum physics. These revolutionary ideas led him to celebrate the profound unity of all things, where matter and spirit, human and divine, are two sides of the same coin. In this universe imbued with divinity, man is no longer seen as a flawed creature waiting for grace from above, but as a being who can elevate himself through knowledge and intellect. But Giordano Bruno was not only a philosopher, he was also a master in the ancient art of memory. His techniques were derived from Hermetic and Kabbalistic traditions. He developed complex mnemonic systems that were not only aimed at improving human memory, but were also designed to deeply understand and influence reality. Bruno took up and revolutionized the mnemonic techniques already developed in antiquity by Cicero and the Greek orators, who used vivid images and mental locations, the so-called memory palaces, to remember large amounts of information. But while for his predecessors memory was a practical tool, Bruno transformed it into an instrument of profound, almost esoteric knowledge. For him, remembering was not just about storing information, but about transforming the soul, bringing it closer to truth and to the infinite. In fact, he integrated symbols, mythological, astrological, and Kabbalistic images into his mnemonic systems. The images were not chosen at random. They had to be powerful and full of meaning. They were meant to evoke archetypes, capable of instantly conveying complex concepts. For Bruno, memory was therefore also a creative act. The philosopher mage creates inner worlds through mental images. He explores the infinity of thought, just as the astronomer explores space. In the Renaissance, the line between philosophy, psychology, and magic was thin. For Bruno, the human mind had an active power over the world, and memory could become a bridge between thought and the universe. In 1592, believing he could finally return to his homeland, he accepted the invitation of the Venetian nobleman Giovanni Mocenigo, who wants him specifically as a master in the art of memory and the occult sciences. But it is a tragic error of trust. Fearing that Bruno would soon abandon him, Mocenigo denounces him to the Inquisition. In May, the philosopher is arrested in Venice on charges of heresy. Among the accusations brought against him are all his most extreme ideas, including the theory of infinite worlds, which is labeled as heretical madness. Bruno soon finds himself in chains. Naturally, he tries to defend himself, explaining that his philosophy does not seek to destroy faith. But by now, his fate is sealed. The Holy Office of Rome demands the illustrious prisoner, and so he is transferred to the capital, where the tribunal of the Inquisition awaits him. A long and exhausting trial begins. For 7 years, he endures interrogations and all kinds of pressure. The inquisitors list 8 heretical propositions for him to recant, ranging from the rejection of Catholic dogmas to his cosmological thesis. They repeatedly offer him the chance to save himself, if only he will renounce everything. But Bruno does not give in. He declares himself a philosopher, not a heretic, and refuses to recant his deeply held beliefs. For him, it would be an unforgivable betrayal. In the end, in December 1599, faced with yet another order to submit, Bruno refuses once and for all. He has chosen the path of martyrdom in order to remain true to himself. On February 8, 1600, the final verdict arrives inexorably. Giordano Bruno is declared a stubborn heretic and sentenced to execution. On the morning of February 17, 1600, at dawn, the philosopher is taken to Campo de' Fiori in Rome. He is forced into silence by an iron gag that clamps his mouth shut to prevent him from speaking to the crowd. He is tied to a stake. A priest approaches to offer him a crucifix, but Bruno turns his gaze away, refusing even this final gesture of surrender. Moments later, the flames rise around him. A hush falls over the crowd. Giordano Bruno dies like this, but in the flames, without ever having renounced his ideas. His body burns, but his thought does not.